All right, everyone, this is Zahid Bashir. Today I am going to discuss a very important research technique in qualitative research design. That is grounded theory research design. Previously, in the previous session, I have discussed in detail the ethnographical research design. We have completed so far narrative research design, phenomenological research design, participatory action research design, case study, ethnographical. And today, one of the most important technique in qualitative research design is the grounded theory that I will discuss in detail, and I will try to cover the half part of it today, and the half part will be done tomorrow. It will not only cover the research design of grounded theory, but also it will also cover how the grounded theory based qualitative analysis is conducted. So we will cover the grounded theory qualitative analysis as well as grounded theory research design using today and tomorrow session. So we will cover both of the topics simultaneously. In addition, I will cover thematic analysis the day after tomorrow. Then I will cover the content analysis. Basically, photo thematic analysis is the part of thematic analysis. So in place of this, I would let you know the discourse analysis as a qualitative research technique. I will let you know. I have made this a part of qualitative research analysis. So let's start the grounded theory research approach, what it is, and how we follow this approach as a qualitative research design. So, grounded theory is basically, you can say that this is the process of generating a theory based on the data. So, it basically follows the inductive reasoning approach. In case of deducting, you have a theory, you already have a theory, you might have some hypothesis that you need to test. But in case of grounded theory, you don't have a theory behind, you don't have some hypothesis, but you collect data first and you try to generate your hypothesis and your theory using the data. So this is basically the grounded theory approach. So myself, Zahid Bashir, as a faculty member at Department of Commerce, University of Gujarat, and PhD scholar at Delhi College of Commerce, University of Punjab, Lahore, is going to elaborate what is grounded theory, research design, what is the process, and how we can apply this technique using our software tools that I will elaborate in the coming days. So, first of all, you need to understand some basics of grounded theory. So, what contents we are going to cover in these 2 days, today and tomorrow? First, I will let you know the brief introduction to grounded theory, like its origin and background, how this concept is emerged, who were the developer, and how they developed this concept. Then I will let you know the meaning and definition of grounded theory. Then what is the process of grounded theory? So these three contents we will cover today. While tomorrow I will let you know the data collection techniques in grounded theory, data analysis technique, theoretical sampling and saturation point, validity and reliability in grounded theory, advantages of using grounded theory, challenges of using grounded theory, and application of grounded theory with real example. So first three contents are the detailed contents that we will cover today, and the remaining contents we will cover tomorrow. So let's start from the brief introduction to grounded theory. what it is, and what is the origin and background of this theory. So, grounded theory is basically a qualitative research methodology that aims to develop theories grounded in data collected directly from the field rather than starting point with preconceived hypothesis. So it means that we don't have some hypothesis, we don't have some theory. So we collect data and we will generate the hypothesis and theory based on grounded theory process. So in this case, we don't have any hypothesis in the background of the study that we are going to test. So this approach was developed by two sociologists. One is Barney Glasser and second one is Anselm Strauss. So this approach is known as the grounded theory by Glasser and Strauss. So this is basically Glasser and this is basically Strauss. So these are basically the two guys who developed the grounded theory approach. The first one is basically Glasser, the second one is Frost. So they basically wrote a book in 1960 regarding this idea about developing the grounded theory, but it has it has developed in a number of years and years after emerging some more and more recent concepts. But the initial idea was developed in 1960. So originating from the field of sociology, grounded theory was conceived as a response to limitation of traditional research methods that often relied on deductive reasoning. So traditional method was basically derived on deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning means that we have some theory behind, we have some hypothesis, and we are going to test the theory and hypothesis on the basis of the collected data. While in case of grounded theory, we don't have some hypothesis in the background, we don't have some theory in the background, and we need to generate the hypothesis and theory uh, on the basis of grounded theory process. So that approach is known as inductive approach. So in case of deductive approach, you may have some theory and hypothesis, while in case of inductive approach, you may not have theory and hypothesis while you are going to generate the theory and hypothesis on the basis of inductive approach. So grounded theory is basically inductive approach, not deductive. Deductive reasoning or deductive approach is basically traditional research approach where you have some theory and hypothesis to test. So Glasser and Strauss sought to develop a systematic approach that would allow researcher to generate theories directly from empirical data. So they have the idea, they have the suggestions that the researcher should generate theories from the empirical data directly, thereby capturing the complexity and nuances of social phenomena. So they called it grounding theory. So, what is the meaning and definition of grounding theory? The meaning is that you are going to generate some theory from the empirical data. So, Strauss and Corbin in 1990 stated a qualitative research method that uses systemized set of procedure to develop inductively, as I have already told you that this is inductive approach. This is inductive reasoning approach. So they have stated that a qualitative research method that uses a systemized set of procedure to develop and inductively derive grounded theory about a phenomena. So you are going to follow some systemized set of procedure that I will let you know what are the procedure and how would you follow those procedure to inductively derive your grounding theory about a phenomena. So, simplifying grounded theory is what? Grounding theory is a qualitative research method that enables you to derive new theories based on the iterative collection and analysis of real world data. So, what does it mean by iterative collection or iterative process? Iterative process is a cyclic process where you collect data regarding a phenomena again and again until you find some common themes or new themes stopped emerging again and again. So that becomes the iterative process. I will let you know theoretically or through some graphical presentation what is the iterative process and how you can use the iterative process. So let me explain you further. So what is grounded theory? Grounded theory is not that you have hypothesis, you are collecting and analyzing data and you prove or disapprove hypothesis. It is not this case because in case of grounded theory, you don't have anything to test. In fact, grounded theory is not to collect the data and analyze the data and drive the theory. In fact, the grounded theory is a cyclic process, which is known as iteration. So, cyclic process of data collection and analysis until you drive a theory. So, you collect data, you analyze data, you collect data, you analyze data again and again. That process, that cyclic process is known as iteration. So you collect data and analyze it again and again until you drive a theory. So there are some participants from where you collect data, then you code data, and then you categorize data to develop a theory. This process is known as grounding theory. So it is a cyclic process. You collect data again and again from different persons, and you get their subjective opinion, their subjective perceptions, their understanding, their concept again and again. So you find some themes, you find some common understandings and differences of understanding, and you develop those themes and you categorize those themes, and it will become a theory. So this is the process of grounding theory. In grounding theory, you first collect the data. This approach is known as inductive approach. In case of inductive approach, you collect the data first, and then you transcribe the data, you derive the themes, and you generate the theory. So this process is known as grounding theory using inductive approach. So, what is grounded theory then? So, theory is derived from the real world data, data collection and analysis interactively, and findings are super connected with data. So, you connect your finding with the data and you derive some theory. That is basically the grounded theory concept. So, there are two types of approaches which are known as Glasserian versus Satrosian approach with respect to the use of the theory. The followers of Glasserian believe that uh, the finding or the discovery of some finding not based on theory. Um, According to their view, that there may be theory, there may not be any theory behind when you are going to develop a grounding theory approach for developing some theory. So they say that discovery is not based on theory, while the follower of Satrosian believe that there may or may not be theory behind. There may be theory that is not fully developed, and we need to develop it more by collecting more data. Then, in that case, there might be some theory and there may not be theory. So, Glacierian followers basically argue that there may be not no theory behind, and we need to develop a fully functional new theory. While Satrosian believe that there may or there may not be some theory behind. If there is no theory behind, we can develop it. And if there is a theory which is not fully developed or which is under development stage, we can fully develop it using the collection of more data. So Straussian is a mixture of developed and underdeveloped theory, or the theory which is not behind, while Glossarian believes that there should be no theory behind. So basically, the modern world is follows the Straussian approach that there may be theory behind or there may not be theory behind. If there is a theory behind a research and that theory is not fully developed, we can develop it using collection of some additional data. And if there is no theory behind, we can still develop it using or collecting some data. So, starting point of the grounded theory is what? A book was published by Glacier and Strauss. That the name of that book was Awareness of Dying in 1965. That gives an initial overview of grounded theory. Then another book contributed by the same authors, Glacier and Strauss, The Discovery of Grounded Theory, and it was basically considered, or it was basically published in 1967. That gives a detailed view that gives a detailed view about the grounded theory concept. So this is how the grounded theory was initially developed. Now, the Glacierian and Strauss concept was basically started from the grounded theory in 1967, and the recent basically development which is followed and which is largely cited in the published literature is Strauss and Corbin in 1990. So this is the recent development they have done, or this is the last development they have done regarding the grounded theory by the original author of this approach. So, what is the process of grounded theory? You need to understand this process because it 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 encompasses a lot of complicated terminologies and complicated ideas regarding the process or regarding the concept. So, the grounded theory process involves several iterative steps. Iterative means the cyclic or the repeating steps. So, grounded theory process involves several iterative steps to systematically generate theories or explanation grounded in empirical data. So, here is an explanation of each step along with an example. So I will let you know the complete process step by step. The first step is the data collection. The second step is initial coding. The third step is axial coding. The fourth step is selective coding. The fifth step is theoretical sampling. The sixth step is theoretical coding, and the seventh one is theoretical saturation. So some of the concept here are maybe new to you people, and you need to understand them step by step. So I will elaborate one by one what are these steps and how we are going to use these steps in generating the theory through grounding theory process, which is basically an inductive reasoning. So the first step is the data collection step. So researcher immerse, you may have the idea about immersion when you drawn yourself or you basically goes deep down into something to understand it more deeply. The immersion concept is used. So researcher immerse themselves in the research context and collect data through methods such as interviews, observation, document analysis, and so on. So you try to collect some data using this process. So data collection continue until theoretical saturation is reached, meaning new insights are emerging. Let me. Let me just wait for a minute. I need to consider a call. So I was discussing about the data collection procedure that you need to collect data through interview, through observation, through focus group discussion, through document analysis, and so on. So data collection continues until theoretical saturation is reached, meaning no new insights are emerging. So saturation is basically a point where you are not getting more new concepts or more new themes. So when no new insights are emerging, it means you have reached the critical saturation. So you collect data until new concepts are stops coming. So that is a point of saturation. So what we need to understand in this process, as an example, a researcher interested in understanding the experiences of individuals transitioning to remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic conduct semi-structured interview with employees from various industries. So a researcher is understanding or interested in understanding the experience of individual who work uh, at home uh, as a remote working experience during COVID-19. So he conducts some semi-structured interview with the employees from the various industries in order to know what was their remote working experience, how they managed to work remotely. So they may have collect data using semi-structured interviews from these employees. So first process is the in the grounding theory process is the data collection, because this process basically start from the data collection. So you need to have some objective, the research objective, which may not be based on some theory or some hypothesis, but you may have some research objective. So here, the research objective of the researcher is that he is interested to understand how the remote worker or the people during COVID-19, how they manage to work remotely. And he has collected semi-structured data or the data from semi-structured interview with these employees from various industries. So this is the first step, that is the data collection. So what to do next? The next is basically initial coding or line by line coding or open coding. This is the first term which might be basically uh, this process is basically the starting point in the grounding theory process. The first is the collection of data, and the second one is initial coding or line by line coding, or sometime it is also known as open coding. So researcher begin by systematically organizing and categorizing the data through open coding. It is also known as initial coding. It is also known as line by line coding. So though they break down the data into discrete unit and assign descriptive label or codes to capture the essence of each unit. So basically what you do, you collect some data through interview or through focus group discussion or through document analysis or through any qualitative means. You collect data and you transcribe that data, and after transcription, transcription means that you have composed whatever you have recorded in audio or video or through written record, through the participant discussion or through interview, what you have recorded in text. You code line by line what are the themes or what are the initial codes that you can generate from a particular line which is provided by the participant. So you may have divided each line in some particular unit. So example is, after conducting interview, the researcher quotes the responses such as challenges of remote collaboration, work-life balance issues, and technological barriers. So it means when you have conducted interview with the remote worker who have done remote working during COVID, They might have highlighted some issues like what kind of challenges they face, what kind of issues they have faced during work-life balance, what kind of technological barrier they have faced. So they will explain each and everything during the interview, and through their discussion and through their line by line responses, you will consider their responses into some initial codes, like if they have responded that they have faced some challenges in remote working experience. So you will code that line by challenges of remote collaboration. They have highlighted that they have some issues, they have faced some issues in work life balances, and you will code that line by work life balances. They have highlighted that they might be they might they may not have a particular software, or they may not have the laptop or personal computer at their home. That was the barrier in doing some remote working at the starting days. So you may have coded that line with technological barrier. So at this level, whatever the response is given by the participant, you are going to generate some initial codes line by line. That is why it is called line by line coding, open coding, or initial coding. So at this level, you code the responses of the respondent line by line by generating initial codes. So this is the process where you collect data, you analyze data, and you generate some initial codes that whatever they have set in their responses. In the second phase, you generate the axial coding. Axial coding is basically the categorization of the coded discussion. What you have generated in the initial code, there may be some relation, or there may be categorization of some of the codes. Some of the codes may be related with a similar category. So you basically combine those codes which are relevant to some similar category. So as a pattern and themes begins to emerge from the initial coding, researcher focus on specific areas of interest and conduct focus coding. They identify core concepts or categories. Basically, the focus is on categories. So they are central to understanding the phenomena under study. So in this stage, or in this process, you try to categorize your initial code. So example is the researcher noticed recurring themes related to flexibility in scheduling and communication tool effectiveness, and decide to focus coding efforts on these areas. So you basically tries to generate some categories, and you will consider some initial codes under these categories. Like you may consider some of the codes in flexible and scheduling, some of the codes in communication tool effectiveness, and decide to focus codes effort in these areas. So this is how you will try to generate the axial codes. So here you can see there are some initial codes, and you have categorized these codes in the similar category. Like you have seen here the blue bars. Blue bars is basically axial coding, which basically combine your initial code into categorization. So whatever the categories of your initial codes, it will be combined in their similar codes, which is known as axial coding. So this is how axial coding works. So axial coding is lines or connections, and it is basically known as categorization of your initial code. The third thing is selective coding. Selecting coding is basically the next phase after axial coding. In initial coding or open coding, you try to execute line by line coding. In axial coding, you try to generate the categorization of your initial codings. And in case of selective coding, it is the stage in the grounding theory process where researcher focus on identifying the course category or central phenomena that emerge from the data analysis. So it is the basically second category of your first categorization after initial coding. If you see in the previous picture, you are seeing that the first categorization is basically indicated in blue rectangles. So this is axial coding, but after it, the both axial coded is further coded in the yellow or orange rectangle. So this becomes the you can say selective coding. So this is the core category of these axial codes. So in the selective coding is a stage in the grounded theory process where researchers focus on identifying the core category or central phenomena that emerge from the data analysis. So this involves systematically integrating and refining the categories identified during initial and focus coding to develop coherent and comprehensive understanding of the phenomena under study. So selective coding involves selecting the most significant categories and examining how they relate to each other within the theoretical framework. So after axial coding, the researcher identifies adaptation to remote work as the core category or central phenomena. This becomes the famous further analysis. So this is an example that I have discussed here. In the previous part, I have discussed that the researcher have noticed some categories that may occur after initial course. And in the selective part, they have identified adaptation to remote work as the core category. That will become the selective category under this process. Next is the theoretical sampling. Theoretical sampling is basically a process where you explore emerging concepts or fill the gaps in understanding. This sampling process is guided by emerging theories or concepts identified during the course. So after creating the selective codes, you try to understand what kind of theory is basically going to emerge here. So this is the process of theoretical sampling where uh, you are guided by the emerging theory, what kind of theory you are going to emerge here. So example is the researchers select additional interview participants who have experienced various challenges in remote work to gain a comprehensive understanding of the phenomena. So you basically conduct some additional interview to have more insights. So that would enable you to emerge some theory based on this concept. So next is theoretical coding. After doing the theoretical sampling, the theoretical coding is a stage in the grounding theory process where researcher analyze the data to identify the core category. So in the previous process, you collect some additional data to have some more insights about a particular code you have collected in the previous category. So in case of theoretical coding, you try to generate some codes after theoretical sampling, after collection of some additional data. So you explore the relationship between these categories and develop theoretical explanation or hypothesis about the phenomena under study. So what you will do, it involves integrating and conceptualizing categories at higher level of abstraction to generate theoretical insights. So, through theoretical coding, the researcher explored the relationship between categories such as how communication tools effectiveness influences work-life balance. So this is the stage where you tries to run the regression or the correlation of the additionally collected data in order to understand what kind of relationship exists between different codes. Like I have told you in case of selective coding, like here you have found some picture. So what kind of relationship exists between this part and this part, whether it positively impacts this core code or it negatively impacts this core code. So this is all done in the theoretical coding process. So in this way, you are going to find out what kind of relationship really exists between two different categories. So theoretical coding also involves developing explanation or hypothesis. So in this stage, you are going to generate the hypothesis, such as the role of managerial support in facilitating successful adoption to remote work. So using grounded theory process, you are going to develop some hypothesis in this stage after finding out what kind of relationship really exists here. The last stage is theoretical saturation. Theoretical saturation refers to the point in the research process where no new information or are emerging from the data. So you are collecting data again and again until a point comes where no new insights are coming. So that is the part where a theory is developed. So first you develop initial codes, then you develop some axial codes, and from axial codes you try to develop some selective codes. And after selecting codes, you get some additional data in order to generate some theory, some hypothesis, and from those hypotheses you are going to develop some theory. So this is the whole grounding theory process. Initial codes, then in blue rectangles you find out the axial codes, and in yellow or orange bars you find out the core category or selective codes. Then you generate the hypothesis, then you develop the theory. So this is the part where you finalize the theory because no new information is coming. So this is the end of today's part. If you have any question, you may ask because time is going to end. So do you have any question, Dave or Vakar? Please let me know because
No question, sir. No question.
all right, all right. So let's meet tomorrow to discuss the further parts and stay blessed and stay safe. Thank you very much for joining.